Hey everybody. So a lot of the talk in the NHL right now is about the expansion draft for Seattle, which is coming up on Wednesday night, and rightfully so. That is just a few days away now. However, let's not forget that the NHL entry draft is coming up on Friday with the first round and then rounds 2 through 7 on Saturday. So that is quickly approaching as well. And with the draft coming up, it's time to start taking a closer look at the prospects. I've put out my top 15 draft rankings, but now we're going to go player by player through some of the top guys, top prospects in this year's draft and take a closer look at each of them. I did want to get this started a little bit sooner, but I worked all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this past weekend, so haven't really had time to do much. But we are going to start with Owen Power, who is by many ranked the top prospect in this year's draft. And we're going to take a look at Power here and talk about his draft profile. So before we begin, I just ask you to please hit that thumbs up and subscribe. If you haven't, it helps the channel a ton and is greatly appreciated, but let's get into it. Here we go. Owen Power, a left shot defenseman from the University of Michigan, 6'5", 214 pounds. Obviously, a big kid back there who still at just 18 years old has the chance to get even bigger, even stronger. And it looks like he is going to be a monster on the back end when he gets to his full NHL playing size. Like I said, he's from the University of Michigan. He played college hockey this past season where in 26 games, he had 3 goals, 13 assists, for 16 points and a plus 18 rating. Very strong freshman year from Power at the University of Michigan. I have him ranked number 1 in my draft rankings in my top 15 for this year's draft. And the average ranking, and what I did for this was take his ranking from Bob McKenzie, Craig Button, Sportsnet, Elite Prospects, and McKean's Hockey. So I took 5 different rankings for the draft this year and averaged out each player's average ranking between those 5 different people or organizations that have done draft rankings. Owen Power's average ranking is 1.4. He was ranked number 1 by almost all of them. He was ranked number 3 by Elite Prospects, but pretty much most rankings have Owen Power ranked at number 1. He has obviously superior size from what we are used to seeing for an 18-year-old. I mean, to be 6'5", 214 as an 18-year-old and a guy who has a chance to be 6'6", 6'7", and well over 225 pounds for an NHL playing weight. This is obviously a monster defenseman on the back end, but he's an extremely strong skater. He's got a powerful stride and is great at skating up into the play and getting back defensively. You know, a lot of times bigger players like this have, skating isn't necessarily their strongest part of their game. Owen Power is an extremely good skater. Especially for a guy this big. It reminds me of Dustin Byfuglien quite a bit, honestly. He doesn't have anywhere near the physicality of Dustin Byfuglien, but from a skating standpoint, just somebody with that huge size who is able to move as well as he does. It does remind me of Byfuglien in that aspect. And he can play in all situations. That's one of the best things about Owen Power is that this is a legitimate number 1 defenseman who can play well defensively, can play well through the neutral zone, can bring offense to the table. He can quarterback a power play. He can penalty kill and be a net front guy in the defensive zone. He does everything well, and he can play in all situations. And obviously, when you're looking at a guy that you could be taking first overall in the draft, you want a guy that is going to play 25 minutes a night and play in every aspect of the game. Owen Power is that, absolutely. He's got very long reach. He uses it well defensively. If there's one thing about him that he probably still could work on, it's that he's not an overly physical player. And when you're 6'5", 215 pounds, you've got to use that size, and you've got to, push players around a little bit. And he's not an overly physical player. We haven't seen that from him yet. I'd like to see him ramp up the physicality, especially playing, guys in the NHL who are full-grown men and tough guys who are not afraid to play that way. If you're going to be a number one defenseman, you've got to be able to shut down highly skilled offensive players, but you've got to be able to shut down powerful, power-forward offensive players as well. And you cannot be afraid to get physical in front of the net and clear out the crease and have that physical side of the game, especially when you have the size that Owen Power does. So there's one thing I think he can kind of work on. It's definitely that, he needs to be consistently a physical player and use that size to his advantage. But that's definitely something I think that he can learn as he develops and as he gets older. He's got all the tools. He's got all the skills. He's got elite level skating. He's a very smart player. He's good with the puck on his stick. He can make great passes. He can score when he needs to. I don't think he's ever going to be a huge goal scoring defenseman, but I do think he's going to rack up assists. I think a lot of his points are going to come from assists. He's very good at passing the puck and finding the open guy on the ice. He's also very good at, kind of using the area, the space around him and the boards, and he gets the puck to the right areas and it ends up in front of the net. He can throw it off the end boards and have it bounce out in front and assist on goals that way. He can keep the puck low and make it very tippable, and get a lot of assists on deflections from guys in front and things like that. So I think he's going to rack up assists at the NHL level. We'll see as far as the goal scoring goes, how much he produces in the NHL, but I definitely think you're going to get a lot of points out of him and definitely a lot of assists out of him. As far as an NHL comparison, obviously, best case scenario, you are looking at a very Victor Hedman-like player here. Somebody that, like Hedman, can play in all situations: power play, penalty kill, 5-on-5, offensive zone, defensive zone. Great all-around two-way defenseman. And obviously, Hedman is a big guy, and Power is as well, so they have that kind of size similarity. So stylistically, for a comparison, I think best case scenario would be Victor Hedman. And if you draft a Victor Hedman when you draft Owen Power, that would be obviously a home run pick. I think at the very least, you're getting an Aaron Ekblad. Aaron Ekblad's another bigger defenseman. I think he's like 6'3", 215-ish pounds. Power's obviously a little bit taller and will probably put on a little bit more weight, but still, I think at the very least, you're getting an Aaron Ekblad, obviously taken first overall by Florida back in 2014, and has become a very reliable number one defenseman for the Florida Panthers. Maybe not in that Norris Trophy elite level, but a very, very good, solid number one guy. I think you're getting that at the very least with Owen Power. So I think from an NHL comparison standpoint, Hedman would be a best case scenario. Ekblad, you're probably getting at least that. And maybe he ends up somewhere in between that as well. Or if things go 100% to plan and he fully develops into the best player that he could be, you could have a potential Norris Trophy defenseman here like a Victor Hedman. So obviously he is one of the most highly touted prospects in this draft. I have him ranked number one. A lot of people have him ranked number one. He's a huge defenseman with a ton of upside and is likely going to be picked in the top 3 this year. I honestly, I think he's probably going to go number 1, but he certainly is going to go in the top 3, I would imagine. And he will hope to become a very elite number 1 defenseman in the NHL. He certainly has the tools to do it. It's just about continuing to develop, keeping, that development curve on the right path, and keep him getting better each and every year. And if he can do that, I think he's going to become a great NHL player. So that is Owen Power, draft profile, ranked number 1 by me. Average ranking between the 5 rankings that I used was 1.4. Coming out of the University of Michigan, looks like the top-ranked defenseman and top-ranked player in this year's draft. He's going to be fun to watch. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, donation link, and channel memberships are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.